Pick 'em, clip 'em, and light 'em, boys. Deadwood Tobacco's about to blow some smoke. Introducing the lineup for tonight. Your pretty boy and host, the always handsome Pierce. The freestyle and visionary of Deadwood Tobacco, Wild Bill. Fresh off the boat and quick with his smoke, introducing Stash. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the DTC Blow and Smoke podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. This episode's going to be a little bit different. We are taking advantage of the reps that we get to have come into our store and grace us with their presence. We compile these every time they come in. We make sure that they can talk a little bit about what they're about, what their company's about, what's coming up next. So basically, we're just going to kind of compile and give you a sight into the extended family of DTC. We're going to have a good one right now with Sam from Ashton is here, and Michael from Shiner is also here. They're going to be talking about a little bit They're going to be talking a little bit about their product and everything else. The next event that we have is coming up Days of 76, July 29th and 30th. I just want to let everybody know out there that we do have specials. When are the specials? So the 25th through 30th, we have Ashton specials. So make sure that you're paying attention to our website for all of that good stuff. But without further ado, here's Sam from Ashton. Sam comes through about 3-4 times a year. So we wanted to make sure that we got him on a mic because he is one of our favorite cigar guys that comes through. So Sam, why the fuck weren't you here on time? Let's start with that.
The standard road stuff.
You
do your best. Always leave early. But, there's things out of your control. So, ice storm in Texas. So, nothing like...
the whole state shutting down.
Right.
Yeah, literally. It was like just DFW. It was nothing like last year. If y'all saw that video with the FedEx truck.
Right.
It looked like a monster truck ramping all those cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is right outside where I live, too.
Oh, nice.
In Fort Worth, yeah.
That's cute.
So, yeah.
You got some entertainment while you're
that works.
sitting.
But I went out yesterday, and, yesterday was Wednesday.
Okay.
Stuck in traffic 8 hours. Didn't
Yeah.
see one account. 3 hours on a bridge, so flight got delayed, so it is what it is.
So
but I made it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And that's the life of the traveling salesman.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do like that every time that there's one of those ice storms in Texas, they act like it's the first one in this many years. They're like, we haven't seen this since 2006. And it's like, I'm pretty fucking sure. I saw that on the news last year and the year before.
Yeah.
That's what everyone said there. They're like, it'll be another 75 years. Sure, the next year I'm down there. But, everyone drives like they're on their way to a fight. So that's just the mentality.
Wait, to watch a fight or a personal fight?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Maybe to back up someone and then get in themselves. But no, I mean, like when I lived in Austin years back, even when it rains, they can't drive in it. So
Get you.
That's just what it is.
And then you've been with Ashton for how long?
Coming up on 4 years now. Yeah. So previous territory, Kansas City. 8 states: Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, Dakotas. So a chunk of it was one of my predecessors from a couple back, Wild Bill.
Yeah.
So, and then recently took Texas territory and somehow still got y'all. So I'm very appreciative for that. Yeah.
Still get to
I think it works out well in many ways. So, and like you said, it's only 3-4 times a year. So,
right.
And I come on the weekends too. So that's my own sacrifice for it. Well, and it doesn't feel that way to me for it, though.
Right.
So.
Well, you get to hang out with people that you've gotten to know over the years and everything else. And
yep.
The hospitality, I hear, is pretty key. I usually work those nights, but I've heard that the hospitality is pretty dope.
Yeah, and then, and then it's like working Sturgis the last couple of years. It's you get people from all over and a lot of people from Texas, too. So
Gotcha.
It has a good spot, yeah.
Yeah. The shipping bitch is very happy that you're here. So.
Oh, yes,
She was counting the days
Yeah.
before you came.
I don't
back
know
in,
if she got a snap of the abs last time. But,
Yeah,
might not look the same, yeah.
she got that.
Might need a fast all the rest of the day. And,
We're just happy that we haven't installed that kilt cam on Stash yet. 'Cause
oh, yeah.
the little guy's going through exercises.
The selfie low stick, yeah.
That'll be coming out on those Patreon account when we start that one up.
Yeah.
You got to pay to see that thing, buddy. It's not free.
Yeah, wild stick. Get a free shirt. Yeah.
Right.
Get a free
There you go.
DTC shirt, yeah.
Exactly.
You want the Stash shirt? You want the top or the bottom? What are we doing here? So, what brought you into cigars in general? Like, what's your backstory with the whole cigar process, or not process, but backstory?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, at least I say it all the time, you kind of just fall into it. I'm sure there's people born into it with families and everything for growing it and everything. Yeah, for me, I got burnt out on construction, oddball jobs. Didn't go to college, couldn't afford it, didn't want debt. Yeah, and then
Smart man.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
In the end, it's a smart move.
yeah, looking at my brother's debt, it was like, yeah, no thanks. So
Yeah, lesbian dance theory class just doesn't pay off all the time.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and I wasn't. Yeah, I got smarter out of high school.
There you go.
They stamped the kids through, so shouldn't have passed. But yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I remember doing residential HVAC, got burnt out, crawling under crawl spaces, attics, and all that, with a 50-year-old guy who bad knees and back, and I was like, I'm over this.
So basically, you can see your future in front of you crawling through those crawl spaces.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm skinny, but it still felt like Winnie the Pooh going through
right.
with your tool bag. And I mean, it was in northern Arizona, so winter, it's hot, cold, different parts of the year.
Right.
Moved back down south to Tucson, got a part-time gig. It was like a magazine newsstand, sold a bunch of badass old pipes, had a big walk-in humidor. I think over time they picked up some of the head shop stuff. Magazines are dead though, so the only ones that came in were your old school guys that collected every board mag,
every issue.
yeah, and kept them very pristine. Yeah,
Still in the wrapper.
yeah. But from construction, doing that for years, it was chewing Copenhagen long cut horseshoes and cigarettes. So. Always loved tobacco, and then that part-time gig introduced me to cigars, and it was something totally different, something that doesn't correlate to the other nicotine products at all. And plus, I wanted to get off all that anyways because of the detriment to health it was doing. But yeah, and aside from that, the flavor, everything else, it's always a good cigar, construction, flavor, and all that, but the camaraderie, that's the biggest thing.
Yep.
So I fell in love with that, whether it's just, customers, that's why they fall in love with it. That's why I fell in love with it. Yeah, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Went and worked for a bigger outfit in town, did part-time there, worked at another place, and then started managing that shop, and then went on to the rep gig with Ashton. So.
Did you get headhunted, or did you just seek it out?
No, it's tough for whatever type of person I am to stay in a shop every day. You all have a revolving door because it's a tourism town.
Right.
Yep.
Assholes are eternal, so you'll always get them. But at least you're not seeing the exact same people every day, and dealing with that and the bickering. There's great ones in there, still friends with a bunch of them. But, yeah, it just kind of hit the ceiling. So, no, I pursued it. I got tipped on a gig on that. It was that one opening. So never owned a suit before. That's the general uniform, not this. So, yeah, spent money I didn't have to get a nice suit. And then was at the trade show, the IPCPR, one of the many acronyms. Wore my suit and everything. And The guy didn't even tip him off that I was interested. So,
Oh, shit.
but at the Ashton dinner, it was I ended up just hitting it off with them, and they offered the territory open, and I said, those are the worst fucking states in the country. So, but the last time thinking about them, was like in grade school on a geography map.
Right. Flyover states.
Yeah. So, and I had my resume prepared and everything, and I got back and I was like, do I want to move to these places? But I was like, yeah, whatever. Be optimistic. Worst that happens is you go back to the state you love and people and everything, but not going to see it any other way. So, Plus you'll learn a lot, even if it was for a short duration, which it is for some reps. I mean, most the life expectancy is 3 to 5 years typically.
Yeah, we are on the road a lot. I mean, you're constantly gone, so that's that's hard if you got a family. It's hard on a lot of stuff. I mean, I have 22 years in the Navy. I mean,
well,
Consuela knows.
And there's a bunch of reps that get burnt for that reason. If they're married prior to or have a relationship, they can lay everything out verbally. Yeah, but it's not until it's like in effect and happening that they're like, wow, this is the opposite of what I was comfortable agreeing to.
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess it's better when it's a longer relationship and they're accustomed to it out the gate. Yeah. But I'm single, so.
No, there you go.
And I like.
You heard that, ladies. Dime piece of single.
Yeah.
Pick up the old phone.
Me llamo Sembra Echeverria. No, I like the adventure and journey of it, so. And it was bittersweet leaving that territory. You can find a lot of beauty in a lot of different areas. So,
true story.
Kansas, never thought I'd be there, but hunting and fishing I picked up. So, and you see cool stuff everywhere, and you learn history too. So I like history. Right on. So it works. But Texas just seemed like a good move.
Right on.
So you got 8 states before juggling tax and regulations. As a whole, it's always under fire, but Texas, good tax. Yeah. More lenient regulations, city change on municipalities and stuff. But it was bittersweet leaving, turbulent landing in Texas. That's the gig, though. Some things I missed, though. I like the rush, on things. Yeah. Working out here all weekend. Last Mardi Gras, yeah. And I got up and was leaving, and Bill's wife's like, he's not leaving, is he? It's a horrible blizzard out. So I waited like an hour and then took off, and it was a horrible blizzard. So, which I was fine. It was an adrenaline rush the whole time. But I was thinking, I was like, man, if I was a passenger in this car, I'd be terrified.
Losing your shit.
Yeah.
Peeling your nails out of the dashboard.
Well, and I learned, in the first blizzard I was in the territory, previous one, that it was like, don't let the truckers get by you. So to me, it's safer to skate on ice going faster than them, whatever they're trying to do, than get totally white out and not see anything. So
if they get past you, then you drop back as far as you can before you.
And that's part of the gig. People flew out before. I'd like driving.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'd bring my stuff and cook steaks like that.
Sturgis and stuff. That was one of the best steaks I've had in a long time. He's back in there doing whatever he's doing.
Brandon with Sprague's, that was last night. Yeah,
Sprague.
He just got in. Yeah. And I was in the back. I was like, you want a bison steak? He's like, oh my God. He's like, dude, I haven't eaten. You're like the savior right now. He's like, never had it. It was like, and smoke was coming out of the place, and like customers coming out of Deadwood were like, where is that? Is that the restaurant upstairs? I'm like, yeah, go up there. The food is like, you got to be blackout drunk to
order anything from that place.
At 2 p.m, blackout.
Talk about lining your stomach with a block of Velveeta cheese.
Right.
But I love the gig. It's something, it wears on you a lot. So it takes I don't know how to say it, you have to be a glutton for a particular pain in it. It is masochistic to a degree. Yeah. And then there's some that don't pursue it like that. So, and that reflects on them, or maybe it gets by for whoever they're working for or whatever. But I like moving around a lot and go.
Right. Do you think your interest in history and your love for history, do you think that kind of went into learning about cigars? Because there's a ton of shit to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, buying a bunch of books, That's like Billy has all the old school ones. A bunch you can't find. And that's the thing about tobacco, too, is like the information for it is not like the spectrum isn't broad for it like it is readily available for everything else.
Yeah.
And that's what's a beneficial thing when you go down to like Honduras, like Preacher and Wild Bill did. Mm-hmm. Or like when I went down to the Garcias, and that's who we're partnered with for our sub brands, La Roma de Cuba and San Cristobal.
Right.
They do My Father cigars themselves, and then Tatuaje for Pete Johnson. But yeah, you just learn so much that you can't pick up there. And even when I went down just to visit a buddy in Managua last year, you learn a lot of other things too.
No.
Because there's always different things.
I mean, everybody's got their own trick of the trade.
People don't mention.
Right.
It's so I mean, and it doesn't. I mean, ultimately, if the end product is good, yeah, sure, it's not for everyone. Something.
No.
But ultimately, it's subjective.
Right.
Just like flavor cigars that are sold a bunch with y'all, it's one of those things. We don't make any of them, so when I'm up here trying to push my stuff, it's like, one of the analogies I always use is like, it's like when you try coffee as a kid. It's so foreign to your palate, it's offensive. So you do the sweet, the cream, and everything over time. You might thin it down. And then you just want to taste the tobacco for what it is once the palate develops.
Yep.
Some of the big bad bikers, though, I like to use a different one. I'm like, you a whiskey guy? They're like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah. And I'm like, you drink SoCo, huh? And they're like, no, I don't drink that. And I'm like, you drink a nice whiskey with a Coke in it, huh? And they're like, no, I don't drink that. I drink good whiskey. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, and that's subjective, all of it, but I'm like, yeah, here's your whiskey without the Coke in it.
Right.
Here's this, So kind of like a good Scotch or whiskey, you're not gonna pour stuff in it, It's subjective, but you're not gonna waste your money on it either. So.
Right.
One question, if I can, from the bleachers. Sam, maybe you remember this, man. Years ago, when you were just getting started, I remember you coming into the shop.
Oh yeah.
And, I mean, probably a different scenario, you coming into a shop where the owner worked for your company.
Yep.
And we didn't have any Ashton at that point. And so
Bill
kind of, threw down and said, man, we used to carry a whole wall of Ashton. We don't anymore. And now you're a new guy kind of running the territory.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you coming into the shop for the first time, right?
So we used to carry a bunch of Ashton was a little bit later. I called him because I was driving out, and I know the history of Deadwood. I knew he was a predecessor, so I mean, really, I just wanted to pick his brain.
Right.
Well, I mean, whatever, and if it went somewhere from there, cool. If not, whatever. I got some knowledge from a predecessor. Mm-hmm. And I got to see some cool shit out here I wouldn't have otherwise, like Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and stuff. Yeah, I was in a suit outside of Mount Rushmore, like Cary Grant or something.
I've actually got that picture.
Oh, yeah.
You have to insert the picture later.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Did your wife give it to you? Or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but I called Bill, and he's like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, I told him those reasons right there. Not that I was going to check out Rushmore too and stuff, but so he was like, yeah, come by the shop. And I kind of knew his face from a picture in a shop from his old territory, but he was clean shaven. He was suited. It's a wedding picture, but I assumed that was the same when he was with Ashton. But I kind of recognized him when he walked in and figured I was like, you Bill? And he went, nope, and just walked right by.
Sounds about normal.
And so I just continued to sit there, and then he circled back and he's like, let's go get lunch. So, and then we just really just got to know each other. There wasn't any talk about anything else. So, and it wasn't any business for a while. So It was one of those things.
And then
you
he brought it
sorry,
back
man.
in.
You coming in as a new rep in the industry. How would you describe Ashton corporate culture? And as far as product knowledge, how do you feel like the company's different from other companies that are out there?
Yeah, and I won't name names on other companies, but I mean, for Ashton, I mean, we don't make our own stuff. Some don't know that, but some don't know La Roma and San Cristobal are umbrellaed. But we partner with Fuente in '85. They make the flagship Ashton.
Right.
Classic, still our bread and butter to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Still U.S. Connecticut, where a lot have shifted to Ecuadorian Connecticut. It's a subjective thing, too. I find U.S. superior. I mean, but I also love our Elegancia from the Garcia side, which is Ecuadorian Connecticut. So, I mean, they partnered with, a very prominent one of the top ones, in the game out of Dominican Republic. And, they were our initial one from '85. And then early 2000s partnered with the Garcias, so making both sub-brands. So another very prominent family from one of the other prominent regions.
Right.
So to me, it was a very good portfolio from, the best of both worlds for me.
Gotcha.
But the thing is they, it's a lot. It's not mass produced. Sure, more cigars are made as years go and sales,
Right.
rise and rise, but it's not something that's rushed, which I guess you could use the Fuente, quote, "Don't rush the hands of times"
Right.
and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But and then that keeps the integrity of the blend intact.
Yeah. They're usually, you smoke this one, you open a different box, smoke that one. It's almost identical. I mean, very, very rare do I have anything that's a little off or something. It's usually perfect right down the middle of the road. So.
Yeah, and aging plays its role in that. And cigars, just like wine, and coffee. I mean, climate, soil, all that plays a role into the product. And tobacco, just like anything else, evolves. So it's like whatever. Yeah, Cuban seeds going places. I mean, over time, It's just like people migrating, It's turns into Nicaraguan tobacco pretty much now,
Yep.
But yeah, the integrity of blends intact. Two families. I was kind of allured by the suit, because I've always been kind of just whatever, the young gutter punk or construction, never had any like nice clothes or anything.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, then I kind of hated wearing the suit. So, but no, I like it. And it's just like out here, I don't wear it. I think in other places it's presentable.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything. It's every account and shop is so different, and it's so case by case,
Yep.
But a good suit, it is kind of like people look at it different.
Yep.
Sure, some people look at it and it's like, oh, well, that's some highfalutin guy, which I always tell people I'm just a well-dressed gypsy. When I'm not working, I'm in cowboy boots or flip-flops. But
that's good, because if I wear a suit, I look like a Russian fucking hitman.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would look.
Tattoos
like,
are hanging out of the sleeves and the neck.
Someone that would be running from John
Yeah.
Wick. Yeah.
Right.
Or running towards him.
Yeah.
Probably not going to end well, but running towards him anyways.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you feel like is happening industry-wide? What are the changes that are happening? What are the things that you're seeing?
Yeah, there's always so much going on, but I mean, even more in the recent years too. I mean, sales went up for most retail stuff. People were spending money, money they were given, maybe money they didn't spend. That would have been the right way, but
Rent moratorium.
That's and then but also people staying home more too.
Yeah.
So and if they're in DFW where I am now, you're saving a lot on tolls.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would justify smoking more too, relaxing. So I mean, sales went up. So obviously, back order issues. have been a problem, producing more tobacco, obviously COVID restrictions.
No.
You know, you have employment problems then
Right.
due to the restrictions with whatever spacing out or, you know, whatever the country's like, which affects it here too.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's remedied. But I mean, cigar sales are up. But yeah, you see other things change. I mean, companies come and go. Companies sell out to other big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Things will change with that, you know.
Right. Well, and it's almost like a forecasting type of thing too, because if you're in there, it's not like you can be like, oh, well, let's just get more of the crops up. No, you only have a certain amount of crops to make a certain amount of product, and you can't force grow shit.
Yeah,
You have to wait until it's fucking ready.
Yeah.
So, and that can compromise the integrity of a blend. And yeah, I mean, I did wait for something like Ashton because and I wrote that in the cover letter. There's no lack of integrity representing the product, so I stand by that.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a couple cigars, you know, they're not the exact fit for my palate, but you know, smoking other company cigars and stuff too. Some I love, and then some I'm like, I can tell it's a good cigar.
Right.
It's just not for me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, circling back to like the 8 states I covered with tax and regulations, so that's under constant fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, recently they were going after, you know, tax federally, you know. So that's always a thing. Smoking in general.
Yeah.
So
They were going after the sweet cigars and menthol
Yep.
cigarettes for a while now. Majority of that sweet cigar side was to target the Swisher sweet grape and the stuff like that you'll
The
see
wraps.
in the stuff you'll see in the gas stations. But the problem is it was a blanket form. So if it hit and ever passed, you know, that would have been all gone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I also heard that they're going to probably keep them in legislation for as long as they
Oh
can.
yeah. I mean,
Just to push it back.
there's lobbyists and the whole 9 yards, just
Yeah.
like everything else. So.
yeah, I mean, and that circles back from my transition from construction and the nicotine I was consuming during that
Right.
to cigars.
Yeah.
And they really don't, there's no correlation really other than, yeah, it comes from a tobacco product. A lot of the nicotine stuff now is questionable if it is even nicotine
Yeah.
from a tobacco plant. I mean, it could be a test tube thing, you know, like what's in the vape stuff. Yeah, so I mean, laws always one. I think more of the creativity comes back. I think some of the old things have gone away though too.
Yeah.
Like I love cigar dinners. I won't do one unless it's an establishment where we can sit down, smoke, drink, and eat all in one place.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole going outside to smoke and coming back in,
Yeah.
it defeats the purpose of doing one in the first place.
You've lost the whole nostalgia of it.
Yep.
The whole sit down, drink, smoke, eat.
Well, and you're breaking
You know.
the process, too.
Yeah, and then you got to stop and go, okay, we're going to go out here for 40 minutes and freeze our ass off while we have a cigar, you know,
Yeah. Right.
try to smoke a cigar.
And
Everybody's
then
just
you're
huddled up.
timing your
Yeah.
food, that's a complication for the restaurant.
Right.
Or you get back, it sucks because it's cold now or whatever.
Nope.
Right.
So, yeah, your scallops gummy, you know, or whatever. Yeah, so, I mean, that's a sad thing to go because those are always the best. And I think on y'all's last podcast you mentioned, you know, pairings and stuff.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that would crush the pairing with the food, you know, so it all has to be in one spot. So, yeah, some of the event stuff's changed. Companies. I think cigars are getting, you know, in the past year or so, aside from seeing new smokers in lounges and stuff, whether they picked up a hobby or they were like, oh, I was drinking so much because I was in quarantine,
Yeah.
you know, more than
Right.
normal. I should probably find some balance to something that is, in my opinion, not harmful.
Right.
Unless, you know, you're hotboxing your car with
Right.
Right.
nothing. I mean, breathing smoke of any kind's not going to be good. But
No.
you don't inhale cigars. That's another thing that
Right.
doesn't correlate to it.
But it's fun watching them when they do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Well-
I think you guys mentioned, what was it? One of those flavored with the cedar on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh,
They
yeah.
fired
All
it
the
up with the
time.
cedar stick and
And
everything
I
wrapped
flamed
around
this
it.
bill.
Yeah, and I was talking to Bill yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it. I forgot it came out. And I mentioned in retail, because you always, and this was before federally, it was 21 the age,
Right.
so you'd get like a 19-year-old, he might have had some dried out cigar with his grandpa. I think, as you guys mentioned,
Right.
Oh.
gave it the old back,
Oh, the old deep throat.
and then dipped it in their whiskey or whatever.
Yeah, that'll
Which
probably
didn't
go down
make
in
sense
history.
because alcohol will dry it out too,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he then and I just politely asked if he needed help, and he arrogantly declined. And it was a similar thing. I was like smelling something, and then like one of the customers, he would always we'd have great conversations, but then he wasn't like paying attention. I'm like, this is kind of weird. He's normally always dialed in.
No.
And he's looking over, and then I look over, and it's just this huge flame. And of course, like the way he was, so I'm a mess with you. So I was like, how's it taste? He was like, oh, it's pretty good. Smooth.
Right.
I'm like, well, at least you got the ribbon, but you're smoking Scotch tape and wood.
Not the tastiest.
Pretty much the same. He put it down and left. you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Pure
that wash of
embarrassment
shame comes over
instead
to
of
you.
just having a humble moment and then doing it right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, why not take that learning experience and just be like, all right, you fucking got me.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Everyone does stupid shit.
Right.
If they're new to it. So, and no one likes to know it all.
No.
So, especially when they know nothing of it. So,
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to think of other things in the industry as a whole. I mean, tobacco. I think there's just more use of different types
Right.
and stuff picking up.
Have you seen, like, in your travels and everything, have you seen kind of the shift in, male versus female smoking? Is that
Yes.
Is it growing everywhere, or is that just our town type of thing?
No, it's growing everywhere. And I forget what it was like a while back, but it was black female, highest growing demographic, and then just women in general. And I see it everywhere more and more.
Yeah.
Cigar bars. You guys have a bar, so you get them in on that. But that was the other thing, that slipped my mind on, like, stuff changing. Aside from people coming to shops new and just picking it up, you're starting to see a lot of, like, football guys. I'm not a sports guy, but,
Yeah.
I forget the guy who, it was recent, like, had a cigar in the locker room.
Oh, yeah. Walking
It
around with a box
reminded-
into box.
Right.
Aside from it not being a cigar, it reminded me, like, years back photos, and it was like a KC Chiefs guy, and he's like, it was like halftime, and he's having like a beer and a cigarette in the locker room. But it was like the victory smoke this time, and handing out cigars. And I've seen multiple of them after that. Seeing other people on different news outlets, obviously not, the ones on TV, but you start seeing it more and more. The whole advertising those days are over to a degree. Well, on TV and magazines, back to the newsstand. I don't know if they're even allowed in, porn mags anymore or whatever. Right. But you still have the new platforms, kind of like the new news platforms. So which is cool because, the interwebs, it's like everyone's kind of finding a new outlet to have freedom of speech ultimately for something that's been legal since, the founding of the country.
Right. Since they've rubbed two sticks together and figured out this stuff burns pretty good.
Yes,
pretty much how that
exactly.
works.
Yeah. They might have smoked some wood back then in the process too, but they progressed in the right way.
Get done hunting them woolly mammoths, man. You got to come back and relax. You can't just.
Well, it's just like everything else. Like, if you're not into cigars, you don't kind of pay attention. But now that I'm smoking them every day. I've been working at the shop for a while. I'm a daily smoker of cigars, and now I start seeing the guy driving past. He's got a stogie in his mouth. Okay, cool. All right, there's a chick on her front step. She's got a stogie
I love
too.
it. When I'm at a bar and I see, I'm like, right on.
Yeah.
And that's back to the camaraderie thing. It's like, and how cigars are under fire now. It was always universally accepted like alcohol,
right?
Minus the prohibition era, but that's forever ago.
Cigar smokers remind me a lot of the military, right? Doesn't matter what branch you're in.
Yep.
I got my little pin on the side of my hat. That's the only thing I wear of anything that shows that I'm even in the military, minus my haircut when I'm not lazy and get it cut. But and you sit there and what branch you in? You see his haircut or whatever. Oh, Air Force or whatever. Oh, Chair Force, got it, cool. Just knocking them, and that's what you do. But it's a. But then again, you'll sit there and talk to them for 35 minutes afterwards if you're not busy, Or if I'm off the clock, I've sat down and talked to people for a long time off the clock,
I mean, it's some people are just, sensitive, but there's also the shit talking camaraderie where it's like, what are you smoking? And you're like, oh, that's a dog rock.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh.
It's the same game.
But I mean, I think that was the podcast, like Bill breaking the cigar and going to get a new one.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's like, and they might love it. And that's what I always told employees. I'm like, I don't care how much you don't like this brand or whatever. It might be someone that's all he smoked. So when he walks in the door and you're going to be, bash his favorite cigars,
yeah,
you think he's going to listen for your recommendation?
Nope, he tuned out.
Which was the beginning of the whole point on what you were trying to get across. So, the camaraderie is always a good thing, though.
Yeah, I say it probably every goddamn podcast that we've done, but I liken it to the beer thing because everybody can sit down and have a beer and talk to each other. But people have asked me, they come into the shop, they're with somebody that smokes, they don't smoke. Why the hell would you even smoke? Yada, yada, yada. I said, because it forces you to relax, to sit down and slow down, breathe. Yeah. And just enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.
You don't need to pick up your phone. You don't need to sit there and do whatever. You don't need to Google anything. You can just sit there and have a conversation with the guy next to you because he's smoking a cigar, you're smoking a cigar.
Yep.
You got something in common.
Compare the differences, talk about it, bash each other. It's the normal game.
Well, hey, thanks, man, for coming on. Love to have you on again. But yeah, thanks for coming down, brother.
Sweet.
Appreciate it. Now we're welcoming Michael Maxwell from Shiner Company, Shiner Brewing Company.
Shiner Beers.
Shiner Beers.
Yeah, that works.
Right on.
Anything
Excellent.
like that.
First off, can you tell me the exact compilation of what you're smoking today and the flavor profiles that we can expect from them?
Yeah, sure can.
I'm just giving you shit.
This is the CLE Habano.
There you go.
It has a very velvety light texture. It's a perfect morning smoke.
I feel like
Something
she's just
nice
holding
and
up
easy.
cards that you can read.
It's flashing across the phone right now. Go, Brandon.
Fuck.
It's your birthday.
So, Shinerbach, you've been in the beer game for how long now?
I've been in the beer game in one form or another for about 12 years now.
12
Now
years.
put that in keg relation.
That is a lot of kegs.
Like personal
usually
kegs.
to myself, yeah, usually to myself. But sales-wise, it's a couple too. But yeah, I
Hey, look,
account for about half my total
He
sales.
started a beer museum in his garage.
Oh, I can
He's got a
completely
museum
believe
of
that.
Shiner, and then he's got a museum of other beers. And check this out. They just sit there.
He doesn't. He just looks at him and drools.
He don't drink.
One day.
He don't drink at home.
I don't drink at home.
No.
Unless people come over.
Well, right.
I don't drink by myself.
So
For me, it's a social occasion.
He's the opposite of Tony. See, he drinks water. Tony drinks coffee.
Tony drinks things that were made with water,
But not water.
but not water itself. No.
Well, and beer is
Fish
made with
fucking
water,
there.
so it works.
Yeah, there you go.
He figures the beer kills the fish fucking.
So what? How long have you been coming out to DTC? First off,
This will be this Wild Bill Days will mark the start of my third year.
third year.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're kind of an old hand at this as well. We got kind of all old hands.
I
right
like
now.
to think so. I mean, I like to think I know what I halfway know what I'm doing now.
And then you come by fucking what 17 times a year? Six. I mean, that's close to 17.
So.
We're only
That's
11
like
off.
let's think here. That's 9 plus 4 and 4, and that's a lot. That's
It is.
17, and then it's like 27 days.
Yeah, so just about a month.
Right. And
Not
now,
too bad.
how is your thought process when you're coming in? Since we already put her on
So
spotlight.
it's one of my favorite times, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Is always what I think about, because like when I'm getting ready for it, like I know my body is about to be destroyed for the next 4 days because
And that's before you even get to the shop. It's crazy.
Exactly. We work our asses off, but it's completely fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world, the way it works. It's the most interactive. I mean, I do promotions. This is my 4th weekend in a row of doing a promotion, and they're always fun. Like they're cool things that I do. I'm very blessed. I get to do a lot of fun things in my job, but the DTC experience is a one of a kind. It is the most interactive of all the places I work, and that has a lot to do with the team and the setup of the shop. It's just set up to be a really personable place and to have those conversations and to get to talk to people about themselves. And then if they're interested in my product, get to talk to them about my product, and it's a blast.
And I mean, you're kind of one of those all over hands-on fucking, I can't even wash dishes without getting yelled at.
Well, I did learn from the best, a man named Pierce. He helped show me the ropes. One of my first times ever working at a bar. So he
Tony takes care of him on the point of sale.
Yeah, Tony.
He makes sure right away he's got his locked in number.
Yeah, so
Tony teaches me point of sale. Yeah.
No, it's so beer game for 11 years. What got you into the beer?
I used to work retail.
Target, you know that fancy store?
I was
Target.
Yes,
I was
from America.
Cart attendant at Target.
You're a cart attendant at
I was
Target.
a cart attendant at Target. And then worked up and became a manager, and then decided I was tired of regular retail, and there happened to be a liquor store that was looking for a manager job. And I was like, man, what could be better than working at a liquor store?
Yeah, lots of things.
Nothing.
Dude.
Do you look back at that time and go, what the fuck was I thinking?
No, I had a blast.
You have to understand something. You got to read between the lines. And since I'm the creative writer, I'm going to embellish the truth. And the truth was, when he was at Target, he decided to realize that he can never run for political office, so he's going to get out of Target because he found a woman.
I did find a woman.
See?
Yeah. I met my wife at Target.
And that's what I'm telling you. He
I
already,
thought it was like a dead body kind of
He
deal.
realized that his heart was extending past the line of management, so he realized that he had to follow his heart. And the job and the money wasn't about it.
You could
That's the truth.
Sure. Yeah.
He just nutshelled
You
that
like
for him.
that
Close
one?
enough. That's close
Yeah.
enough. somewhere around those lines.
But then you kind of got like balls deep in this whole beer thing and
Whoa.
really.
That's a visual because he's wearing a kilt.
Yes.
Right across from
Yeah,
you.
you have no idea what we were seeing on this side of
I'm
the
not
camera.
seeing it. I just see a hairy right fucking shin bone.
It's like a fucking tractor beam I'm pulled in. But the
Dude, if you
the
shaved his
extensive
legs, you could have a pillow.
those legs,
Look at that hair.
you wouldn't
It's
be
all
able to
blonde
see
hair.
where the pillow was because they're so white. But
No, but the hair.
yeah, no, the hair's white too.
But
Oh,
check
it's
the
crazy.
calves. Check the calves.
the calves
man.
are pretty
Hey,
fucking
do you know
rocking.
what they like in Miami Beach now?
They like my calves.
They like men's calves.
Ginger boys.
No, just men's calves.
But you have like this really deep knowledge of
That's the
like we just
Venezuelan.
talked to Michelle about all of her knowledge with the cigars. Like what brought you into like the love of the past and the history of the beer and what goes into everything. Like what was your
I love all history, but the beer industry history, because of, especially mainly in the United States, to do with Prohibition. There's so much cool history in the beer industry. And even to this day, most of the beer industry laws are based off of laws that were written right when Prohibition ended. Yeah. So there's a ton of history in the industry. There's not a whole lot of pre-Prohibition breweries left around.
Yeah.
So it's fun to work for one of those companies that was
Anchor
around.
Steam, I think is still
So
Anchor Steam is still around.
Yeah.
yours has a German heritage, right?
We do, yeah. We were founded by a whole town of Germans.
So back in that day, right, when Germany came over, those people, they got away from political persecution. When they came over, they didn't have the ability until they had the majority of the town as Germans to put in a brewery.
Yep.
That is how the German breweries got started in America.
Well, and what year did Shiner?
1909.
1909.
Now, that came after the first American lager, which was, I think, Shells and PBR.
Shells and PBR were before us, but before them was Budweiser.
Yeah, Budweiser's been around, but it wasn't. Back in the days of PBR, it wasn't. It was out there. It was selling, but PBR and that are what's his name? Not Shiner.
Shells.
Not Shells.
Yingling?
No, not Pennsylvania. Come on,
Because they've been around for a long time.
It was out of Milwaukee at the same time as PBR.
Oh, Miller.
No, it was not Shells.
Oh, are you talking Schlitz?
Schlitz, yes,
Schlitz?
that dude.
Schlitz?
That dude. Now hold
Calm
on.
down, peanut gallery. Jesus.
Hold on now. I know we're sidetracking, but you're a beer dude, right?
Yeah.
If you know the history of that dude Schlitz, that dude, I don't know if he played poker, but that dude made a serious poker move. Like when the old man died at the brewery, right? The B dude, he died. Schlitz was working there, and he stepped up because he saw the books was messed up. Stepped up, helped up. 2 years later, he marries the widow. Changes the name, put Schlitz on the beer, created his own beer. Boom. Now he's competing with an old captain whose last ship crashed, which was Pabst. And they had two styles of beer back then, right? You had the lager,
Pilsner lager, yeah.
right? And then they had the ale, and that was it. And these two needed to travel, and that's how we got this. But back to Germany, it was actually a tough fight to even get that many people into a town. Mm-hmm. And then when the breweries came in, that was their only outlet of exercising their culture.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was.
All the when you actually look at it back then, Pierce, all the foods were built around the brew house. Mm-hmm. All of what they ate, that was their culture. So imagine coming in to get away, but you had to flex a little bit too. So the beer has a more significant point, much like tobacco does to America. Right. And yeah, the indigenous population used it back in the day for religious reasons, and it was the new gold, and it still is. But it helped give freedom to what the indigenous population would refer to as the white man.
Michael, I missed what you were saying about pre-prohibition. Mm-hmm. How is that? You're saying a company exists, pre-prohibition. What's the connection there?
Yeah, so pre-prohibition breweries are very rare because most breweries went out of business during prohibition because they couldn't make any money.
Okay.
So everybody, for the most part, who has survived, were able to adapt and make other things during prohibition in order to make it through. Like Budweiser, when they couldn't make beer, they made it was a malt-based drink, but it was non-alcoholic, and it was Bevo Fox was their whole thing, and that was how they were able to survive. We were lucky enough to survive because so not our founder. Again, we were founded by the entire town. That's why we're Shiner Beers, because we're in Shiner, Texas. But the first person who took over as the head of the brewery, Cosmo Spetzel, when it was time to pivot and start making something else, he just said a big fuck you to the American government and kept making beer. And so for the majority, except for until the last 2 years of Prohibition, he got busted and spent those last 2 years in Leavenworth Penitentiary because he was still making beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were able to make it through those last couple of years by pivoting and making some non-alcoholics and stuff. But yeah, the only reason we're still around is because he decided he didn't like Prohibition and he still wanted to make beer.
You're saying Prohibition did not change our beer.
It did not change Cosmo.
Where it did a bunch of other stuff to the industry.
Yep.
In America.
Or they just had to go out of business if they couldn't pivot. But
gotcha.
Yep. Nope. Cosmo just said, nope, I'm still going to make beer. So
beautiful.
Yeah. It's
that's
amazing
how you
story.
That's how one brewery out there made the best root beer.
Which one's that, 1919?
Yeah. We don't need to discuss that brewery.
I know you love your 1919.
I do. We sell it now in the 16-ounce can. Coming on draft soon to DTC. Shameless plug. Love it.
It's good stuff.
It's going to turn into a pink lemonade problem, isn't it?
Nah, I'm done with the pink lemonade. Too much sugar.
No, the root beer is going to turn
Already
into
Nope,
Already
because
is.
it's too expensive.
I mean, there is a point to that.
Yeah.
So when you come down here, what's the thought process going into it? It's just we have the get-togethers on Thursday nights for everybody except for me, to kind of just chill out, relax, talk to everybody, have a little sense of community, and then Friday it's just all hands on deck, balls to the wall, go.
Yeah, it's go time.
He bartends.
Yeah.
Well, that's again why I say the perfect experience is because as lots of events you do, like I'm kind of out mingling with the crowd, which means I have to go to each table, which is fine. Like I like to do that, but the DTC experience is great because Bill is comfortable with me standing behind the taps, so I get to talk to them right from the get-go. When they come up and they want a beer, I can ask them, what style of beer do you like? Because my goal is to give them the perfect beer that they're going to want to drink again.
Right.
So instead of trying to push one beer on them, I can ask what they like and then give them any one of the beers the Shiner beers that we have in-house.
And you can also equal that to pairings for the cigars.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
He also knows because he asks questions about the cigars.
Yeah.
So he's consistent now, and he knows what's right there, and he can see what they're bringing up. Oh, you got that? Let me show you something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like sea salt lime, right? No, try that little sample. And they're like, oh, well, shit.
Yeah.
No, you wanted Michelob Light? Nah. Try the
I will tell you specifically what
Shiner Blonde Light.
What I am super excited for is the brand new Chasing the Dragon with the green apple notes in it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to have one of those today with that sea salt lime because I think that that green apple notes with the tartness of the lime.
Yep.
I think it's going to be fantastic. I've been looking forward to it all week.
It could be
Been looking forward to it all week. And yeah, my cigar knowledge though is little bitty. I try to learn everything I can from Michelle and from you guys at the shop. Like I try to pick up what I can.
Just do me a favor.
Unfortunately, there's just too much beer knowledge.
Take 1/10 of your passion for automatic weapons and the Second Amendment, and just put that in
automatic. I don't have any automatic weapons, Bill. Those are illegal.
Automatic weapons are as fast as your trigger can pull, and your trigger finger is as fast as you can pull backwards.
The trigger finger gets a lot
Thank
of
you,
work.
United States Marine Corps. That is my automatic weapon, my finger control.
Quick to pull the trigger, Mr. Maxwell.
I don't have to sear nothing down to make that happen either. I don't play that game, but
Like I said,
I'll go ahead and lead you a little bit.
I wouldn't do anything illegal.
So, do we know what's going to pair well with the new Dragon that's out?
Yeah, we do. Well, I believe I do.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, if we're gonna do the beer, that sounds perfect. But you know what would be interesting? That cinnamon thing that Rico makes with the sake. It tastes like apple pie.
Well, it's like an apple pie with the green apple.
Yeah,
That'd be
could
good.
be overpowering.
I don't know. I don't think with the cinnamon in there. I think
Yeah,
The
that's
apple
it.
It's
sake
tough. I
is
haven't-
We're definitely going
Joe.
to try DTC today, but you'll hear this and then we'll tell you at a future podcast how it worked.
Yeah,
I'm going to
absolutely.
throw up a slide of a bunch of Shiner beers. Which one do you think is going to go with the new Dragon?
So lime sea salt is not up there, but I do believe lime sea salt is the one that's going to go well.
Okay.
Now,
I also think that
d-
juicy
d-
IPA
here-
would go
well,
pretty good as well.
here's the other thing, right? Your Shiner Peach,
Mm-hmm.
that could go well too with the Auntie.
I was going to say
Because that has a peach apricot note.
Yeah, okay, I couldn't remember whether it was Auntie or
And then I
Not midnight
believe
oil, but
there's
zero.
did we have a strawberry?
Yeah,
yep, strawberry blonde. We actually have
strawberry
that
would
in-house
go
today.
good with a zero.
Yep.
Yep,
We have that in house today.
because zero's going to have that dried berry,
Yeah, that'll work perfect.
mixed
with
dried berry. So if you get that strawberry with that, that would work out as well.
it. Yeah, that's going to be ridiculous.
It is.
We're going to have fun today and actually tomorrow.
Yeah, the new Dragon line is from my cigar knowledge, because I'm still learning, I'm still trying. I'm not as good at picking up the notes in traditional cigars. So the new Dragon line, where those flavors are really pronounced, makes it easier for my palate to pick them up.
But they're
Way
not
easier for me to
But
pair
if
them.
you notice, it's not necessarily throughout the whole cigar.
You just
You
get a
notice
hint of
them. You notice them, but then as equally as they fade onto the palate, they fade off of the palate, and then you get that rawness of that wonderful Honduran Corojo tobaccos.
It's it's one of the exact reasons why I love our beers so much, is because, like, if we say strawberry blonde, sometimes you have a strawberry blonde and your beer pours pink, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's because you use a strawberry mash, you puree it, and so you really brew it in with the beer.
So I have
What
a question.
Yeah,
When you're done, because you're hitting some sweet notes.
Yeah.
sweet notes. What we do when we brew a strawberry blonde, you'll see it pours regular golden light lager. Now, you smell it, and you can definitely smell the strawberries, and that's because we put whole strawberries in the batch, brew it, and then filter the strawberries out, so that you just pick up notes. You're not having like actual strawberries in the beer.
Right.
You pick up the notes of strawberries. So you kind of exactly like you were saying with your cigars, you pick up the notes, but then you also taste the full taste of the tobacco. We
Taste
don't
the full
want
taste
you
of the beer.
to taste strawberries. We want you to taste beer with just a hint of strawberry.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's why the new Chasing the Dragon line, along with the way we do our beers, is just a perfect pairing all
Now,
across the board.
You tend to smoke both traditional and non-traditional.
I do.
But you send non-traditional more at the shop. So my question to you is this. Since you brought up slight sweetness of the mash of the strawberry and the faint hint, what do you think about the lack of an overbearing amount of sweetness on the cap? Knowing, we didn't do that. You knew that.
Oh yeah.
But is it a lot? You're as you said, you're a novice. And you've smoked other sweetened cigars.
Oh, yeah.
Other sweet caps.
Do I think it's overbearing?
Even in the CLE Insidious, which you like, with all that molasses.
Yep. Do I think the dragons are overbearing with the
Does it need
sweetness?
more or does it need less?
I don't think so. And
I
again,
ask you that
I'm a
because-
complete novice.
Well, not necessarily when we're discussing notes and things like that, right? Because
Right.
he's been in the beer industry forever.
Yes.
So he understands bitter notes, right? You understand what a sour note can do. You understand all that. And you understand how he explains it to us to put the right beer in the right glass so you can get those aromas and those notes.
Yep.
And some bars out there do that, and you look at them, you're like, oh, that bar's pontificating. Look how egocentrical they are. But in actuality,
I'm guessing that's exactly what they're thinking in those words.
well, not them, but people are looking at them.
No, I get it.
And when you look at that, what they're doing is they're basically transitioning from the wine culture, bringing in the beer culture, because certain beers are hoppier and other people don't like them. I tend to like a slight hoppy beer, but I don't drink all the time.
Yeah, when it comes to evaluating a beer, just like a wine, aroma plays such a big part of it. And so the bright glass can either spread out a floral note from the smell of the beer, or it can condense some light coriander if you're going with a certain beer. So yeah, serving beer in the right glass has nothing to do with being pretentious.
Right.
It's all about giving the beer the best presentation to the consumer. If people are going to spend their time and make that beer and put their heart and soul into making the beer, it's our job to give that beer the best presentation possible to the end consumer.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I drank out of a Spieglau IPA glass, and I was fucking amazed because every time you set it down, it spins up from the bottom and re-releases that aroma into your nose.
Yes.
And every sip tastes like the first fucking sip.
Yep.
You just have full flavor in every single thing. Some of, when you're in a regular pint glass, you're getting that dissipation, yeah. When you're going down the drink, and then you get to the end and you're like, I'm gonna chug down this last thing because I'm not gonna waste beer. But in that glass, that one particular thing, when it spins it up and you take that last drink of beer, you're like, that was like the first one, give me one more.
Hey, did you see him do that napkin thing with the draft beer?
Yeah.
I know it's a good visualization, right? But it makes perfect sense when you think about carbonation and what it does, and you're like,
well, and it brings to attention something that people aren't going to necessarily think about, especially if they're avid beer drinkers and they drink all the time. They're not going to waste the time to pour it in the glass. They're not going to waste the time to hold the tap at a certain angle. They're not going to waste the time, all this other shit. But when you get that little bit of education, which is what I love about it, when people come up there, is you get them that nugget.
Boom.
You don't have to over fucking inundate their mind with a bunch of shit that doesn't matter. You give them that one little nugget, and they
biscuits
come back
and
for
gravy.
another one. And
Lobster
another one.
bisque.
Yeah, exactly.
But
catchphrases.
Do us a favor real quick, since they don't really understand what we're talking about, and we don't have the actual 2-pint glasses with beer in it. So in a short, concise manner, 8th grade level, try to spit out what we're talking about so they understand. And we're talking about carbonation, right?
We're talking about carbonation. And what we're saying is never drink beer out of a bottle. So in the brewing process.
That's nuts when you think about how many bottles are sold in the United States of beer.
Yeah.
In the brewing process, at the end, when you're packaging it, whether it's keg, whether it's bottle, or whether it's can, they all get different levels of carbonation put into it. And it's to preserve it, to give the beer the best flavor to the end user. Now, kegs, you really don't put a lot of carbonation into those because they get their carbonation when the line pushes it from the keg to the tap. Now, when you're talking bottles and cans are meant to be the end receptacle. Except for lots of craft beers now are doing it where craft beer should be poured into a can too. So that makes it a little confusing. But for the most part.
But is that also a bottle issue?
It's I almost said the wrong word. I almost said cheapness. It's a cost-effective issue. A bottling line is a lot more expensive than a canning line.
It is.
Absolutely.
But the reason in the traditional beers, the reason you can drink from a can is it's got the perfect level of carbonation. It's meant to be drank out of the can. With a bottle, we purposely put more carbonation in the bottle. So people who, especially when you drink beer, if you get full, if you get bloated from your beer, the reason for that is sometimes you're drinking from the bottle. And you can tell this by if you ever do pour your bottle into a glass. That's another one of those things. You're taught when you're little, you're taught when you're young, pour it really slow down the side so that you don't get a lot of head on the beer. You want head on a beer. Head on a beer is what protects the flavor and the aroma of the beer. So you want a good inch, sometimes 2 inches of head on your beer, depending on the beer that it is. So what you actually want to do is from the bottle, pour really fast down the center. And if you got to stop and let it settle for a little bit and pour some more, that's perfect, because what you're doing is you're releasing that carbonation. And that carbonation has kept it fresh in the bottle. But now all that carbonation needs to do is be released. Whereas if you drink it directly from the bottle, or if you pour really slowly down the slide of the glass, all those bubbles are going into your stomach instead of getting released into the air. And so if you think about that, like you watch how big that foam is and you watch that explosion from the napkin, if you put it in the beer that's poured slow and you haven't released the carbonation, you can see how much that expands in the glass.
Oh,
and you know
it's
that
like
that's
you
doing
all
that in your
suddenly
stomach.
poured 2 bottles of beer.
Yeah.
It
So
overflows.
the napkin is basically taking place of the lining of the stomach.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
it's
carbonation does
crazy.
is
Yeah, it is.
carbonation needs something to expand. It needs something to attract to expand. So that's where if you pour it fast, a lot more of it's hitting the side of the glass. So more of it is expanding in the glass ahead of time. Whereas if you don't,
The bubbles that when you put the napkin in, you know, at the end of a pier when the waves are going up and down and you see those crustaceans on that pier lining, that's what the bubbles attack the napkin. All of a sudden, all these bubbles come out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
well, because you pour
It's
it,
crazy.
and so you pour the whole bottle in, and then you've got like maybe a fraction of a millimeter of head on the top, and you think you've done the perfect pour, and then so you're right at the top of a 16-ounce pint glass, and you put that napkin in, it explodes everywhere. I mean, it gets all over the counter.
Yeah,
Like, it doubles in volume.
Yeah. Oh, he's done it for me.
It's like that elephant toothpaste all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is. That's a perfect example. It's like
just
elephant toothpaste.
keeps
Yeah.
going and going and going, and you're like,
And then you can. It's easy to imagine.
imagine what that does.
That's
it's
what it
like
does in my stomach.
Coke, right? You drink Coke, and you're like, that tastes good in my belly. And then they pour it on a rusty bumper, and you're like, what the hell is it doing to my belly?
It's just eating away the
So
insides.
it's like, what are them bubbles doing down there? And then all of a sudden, that monster starts calling, you will be. Watch this.
So what continually attracts you to the beer? I mean, I know the history, the
Alcohol.
passion of it, the whole encompassing thing, but like you personally, what is your favorite part of like the whole beer
industry?
universe? Yeah.
The personability of it. Beer is a social drink, and so selling beer and being around the beer industry, it's a very social and a very welcoming industry. Like it's really easy to sit down and have a beer with a random stranger and talk to him.
He's
and
not
get to know
promoting,
him.
hey, let's slam a bunch of 16 pints either.
still
He's
have
talking
that slide of
about
hop.
talking, eating some pretzels, having a sandwich, enjoying a nice cold beverage as an adult.
It's just nice because
Right.
like what you're saying right now is literally what we were just talking about on the podcast that we just recorded.
Correct.
The
Number 3.
Yep. Number 3, the socialization, the camaraderie, the bringing people together, slowing down your life to kind of just relax and enjoy that moment. That's what we were talking about with the, why cigars are so important to us as, a society to just relax and have a conversation and be able to be one-on-one instead of on a fucking phone or scrolling the internet or looking up at the fucking news channel to see what the 15 minutes is repeating this day. It's just, it's nice to slow down your body, slow down your mind, and actually enjoy the people around you.
And that's one aspect for just me personally. Other people don't have this issue, but 2 of my 3 states are really lame, and you can't.
As far as beer drinking goes.
there are no places where you can smoke a cigar and drink a beer. 2 of my 3 states, you can't do it anywhere. Luckily, I get the beautiful state of South Dakota to work in also.
Bada bung bing.
And there are still very few of them, but the
fuckers,
experience,
right here.
being able to come to DTC and do that's such a unique experience in my industry, because usually I can't do that. So it's so much fun because you got both, like you just said last time, you were talking about the fact of the cigars, sitting down and having an experience, and now you got the beer aspect of it too. So you're sitting down, you're having a smoke.
Hold on a second. You do know that at the new location, you're going to have to think about how you're going to move side to side. You're going to have to practice what the NFL linemen do. You're going to have to learn how to spin, do a little shake, a move, because the bar's getting bigger at the new location.
Yeah, but that's downloaded in his brain like the Matrix.
I was a
man.
pulling center. I can do that. I'm good.
I don't want you pulling nothing.
Yeah, and especially in the center. Jesus.
Right.
Why do you think I wear a kilt?
Derailed.
We don't because you want easy access to wipe.
So when, what all events do you cover in or at DTC?
So I'm very fortunate. Bill has let me come in for all the major events, but I personally asked to swap the last one. So I do St. Patrick's Day, and then I do Wild Bill Days, which is my favorite event. I absolutely love Wild Bill Days. Then we do Days of 76 Rodeo, Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, Cool Deadwood Nights Car Show, and then the major Deadwood event is the last one is Dead Weird. But we were saying I'm German. We're a very German brewery. I swap that last one and I come out for Oktoberfest.
Right on.
And I do Oktoberfest.
Well, I can't wait until the next time you come because I feel like if we have a little bit slower and we're not on
You
such
mean
a
you're
time.
you're having Maxwell withdrawals?
Yeah. Well,
You need your 27 days?
yes, absolutely. 17, but yeah. But I mean, less of a time constraint so we can actually sit down and talk beer, maybe get Tony in here to sling some stories and everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should sit down and do a little bit of a history of beer and talk about beer the next time you're around. But
Well, actually, we can do that, but we will have a set up beer class with them for us,
yeah, that'd be awesome too.
with a dinner and a pause break.
Yep.
Right.
And at the new shop, we already have it in the works.
Yep. It's coming.
So
Stay
anyways,
tuned.
Yeah. So anyways, man, thank you for coming on. We always appreciate you coming in. We love having you around. You're one of the team, obviously, as everybody in this room is right now. And now we're going to go on to the next one. Thank you very much, my man.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Arrivederci.